You guys want me to tell you a bedtime story? Okay. When I was 10 years old, I was living in this town called Amarillo, Texas, on a street called Spring Street, about 5 blocks from Amarillo Boulevard, which is old Route 66. And Amarillo is and was a very strange place. Uh, at the time, it was the number one producer of helium on Earth. And they weren't producing helium for its strategic value, even though it is a strategic gas. It's very useful. It was just a byproduct of production of fissionable material for the nuclear arsenal. There's also a factory there producing Hueys for the Vietnam War. That's where all of them are built. It's also just a few hundred miles away from the Trinity nuclear blast site. The first nuclear bomb was detonated there, and of course Roswell is just a few hundred miles away. And it's just a strange place. There's a canyon called Paladero. It's the second largest canyon in the United States. It's not as big as the Grand Canyon, not even close, but it's way weirder. I mean, the Grand Canyon is spectacular, there's no doubt about it, but Paladero is just weird looking. With the rock formations are just bizarre. The Native Americans, it was a power spot. They said it was a place to go to hide when disaster struck and the earth went through periods of destruction. You could survive there. At least that's what they said. But my mom had one of her divorces, and so there was no man in the house. It was just her and me and my three little sisters. My big sister wasn't living there at the time. She was at her dad's house, living with her dad. And somebody gave my mom $2,000. She always claims my granddad did, but I know better. He wouldn't have given her $2,000 for this. Somebody gave her $2,000, and this is 1976. $2,000 is a lot of money for me and her to go to this course called Silva Mind Control. It was designed supposedly to help kids with school that were having problems in class. They used biofeedback equipment to teach you to control your brain, wave, levels and heart rate and breathing, and these meditation techniques and creative visualization and breathing exercises to try to help you control your mind. Silva Mind Control was MK Ultra. Okay, they were saying it was to help you learn how to control your mind, but they were trying to learn how they could control your mind. Someone could control other people's minds. Well, anyway, after a couple of weeks, I graduated from the course, and it was about 2 weeks after that, I was home in bed. The next day was a school day, but I don't know what time it was when I woke up, but I woke up in the middle of the night. I felt really, really sick. It's a very strange feeling. I've had that feeling since then with other incidences that are very similar to this, but I felt like my body was just going to turn inside out or something, very sick. But I got over it really quickly, and I was like looking around, what the hell is going on? And there was a gap in the curtains in the window, and there was this intense light coming from outside. There's no light outside. This is Amarillo, Texas in 1976. It's pitch dark outside. There's no street lights everywhere. Maybe down on Amarillo Boulevard, not even there really at the time. I wasn't really thinking about it. I just remember it, though, but there was no lights outside, okay? I'm like, what's going on, And I felt like there was something in the room with me. I couldn't see anything. The closet door was open because I'm 10 years old and I'm scared of monsters, but I felt like something was in there with me, and I'm like getting terrified. So I get up and I kind of like looked under the bed, and there's nothing under there. I open the door. I'm like, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to go to my mom's room and tell her I'm scared. When I open my door, the house is lit up, not real bright. It's really nice, mellow light. My sister's room is to the left and the bathroom's to the right. The doors are open. The living room's in front of me. And I'm looking around, but the lights weren't on. There was no, the light bulbs weren't lit. The lamps weren't lit, but I could see perfectly. I went into my sister's room. They weren't in their beds. I'm figuring they're scared too. Something, they think there's a ghost or something, whatever. I look under the beds, and they weren't under there. The funny thing was, I could see under the beds perfectly. It's the same as on the top of the bed. I go walking through the living room, and I'm like, where are the cats? They're usually laying on the couch at night. And there's a dog, a little chihuahua we had named Peaches. She'd investigate if you started wandering around at night. What's going on? She wasn't there. So I walk into the kitchen. It's lit too. No lights are on though. I walk over. My mom's room's to the left and the den's to the right. The den's pitch black, but my mom's room's lit up. I look in there and walk in there, and she's not in bed either. The little baby's not in the crib. I open the closet. They're not either. There's nothing under the bed because it's just a box spring and a mattress on the floor, so there's no space underneath. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I walk back into the kitchen, and the den's pitch black. And I felt like it was like something was in there staring at me, or something. I could just, not like something breathing, but kind of like something breathing in there, like shuffling around, trying not to make noise, but they were anyway. I got scared as hell and just ran through the kitchen into the living room and just opened the front door and ran outside and started running down the street. It's kind of cold outside. I'm just in my underwear. Thing is it's completely lit up outside like a football stadium. Something overhead, it's like a stadium lights overhead, lighting up the whole neighborhood. I didn't look up though. I don't know why. I just start running down the street. There's a high school. I'm 10 years old. I go to the little kids school, but I knew there's a high school down the street. There's a football field and a track around there, and there's some bleachers. And I run to that. You can't get just walking underneath the bleachers. There's a cinder block wall around them all. So you couldn't get underneath them, but you could if you climbed up into the bleachers, especially the first level. You could, if you're small enough, you could slip in between the slats of the benches and get down inside there. And that's what I did, hiding. And I'm hunkered down in there, and it's freezing. All of a sudden, I don't know how long, I start seeing snow coming down. And it's getting colder and colder. Next thing I know, I'm shivering and goosebumps, and my teeth are chattering, and I'm like, I gotta go home. What am I doing? I climb back out of there, and I know I'm starting to walk back down the street to get home. It's still lit up, I don't remember walking all the way home. I just kind of like, next thing I know, I'm just sitting in front of the house, looking at the door, and it's open. Now the dog's sitting there at the front door like, what the hell's going on? What are you doing out there? And I just walk up the steps, go in the door, close it, lock it. I don't even think I locked it. You didn't lock your doors in 1976 in Amarillo. Just close the door. And the dog follows me into my room and jumps up in the bed, and I climb in the bed and I go to sleep. Like it's nothing. Didn't check to see. We're still lit up everywhere just like it was before. And I just go to sleep like it's like nothing. Next thing I know, my mom's like screaming at me, get up! Gonna be late for school. You're already late. I'm gonna get fired. I'm late for work. She's like, looks a mess, wreck, eyes all red and face all puffy and distressed. And my sisters are stumbling around, all looking terrible, looking wrecked. I feel wrecked. We have to get rid of it snowed that night a little bit, so there's snow on the ground. We had to get the ice off the windshields and all that. Get ready. She's real pissed off, and she drives us and drops us off to school. Never mentioned to hey, where were you guys last night? I don't know why. Never said anything about it. That's not the only time incidences like that occurred. But most of them were just routine, This was the first time that I remember. Got some other stories that are probably worth telling that are very similar, high strangeness or whatever. But that's all. Might tell you the other stories are kind of weird too. Well, anyway, good night, sweet dreams.